What's going on, everyone? So I know it's second video, and it's only been 2 months since I made the first one, but finally going to make it so I can get the next one out. So what I got going on here is got a 2015 International Pro Star ISX15 CM2350 in it. Has a fault code of 435, engine oil pressure, data erratic intermittent. I'll go ahead and show you real quick. Right there, number 435. Engine oil rifle pressure, data erratic, intermittent, or incorrect. Alright, so with the 435 fault code, data erratic, engine oil pressure, data erratic, first thing I normally do is run and check the engine oil pressure. On the Cummins engines, they have a tendency to want to leak through the connector, start pumping oil into the connector, into the wires, and it'll start causing high resistance on everything. So what I do is that sensor back there with the purple wires, that right there is your engine oil pressure sensor. This is your ECM, fuel filter, but right back there is the engine oil pressure sensor. So replace the oil pressure sensor, repin the connector, and because I did find oil in the harness, we did run a new signal wire from the connector to the ECM. So we road tested it, thought it did fine, truck came back, same issue. So we got the truck back, went on further diagnostics, checked the engine oil pressure. I'll show you where I did that. So right there, see if it'll focus. Right there, that is where you check your engine oil pressure after the filter. And that should be the same pressure reading that you get at your engine oil pressure sensor on the other side. The port right there, a little bit hard to see, but I'll put an arrow on it or circle it. But the port right there is what you check for oil pressure before the filter. So that'd be coming right from the pump and going to the filter and then to the rest of the engine. So like I said, I checked the oil pressure and it mirrored the same thing that the engine was doing. At cold startup, the engine would have 100 psi at high idle, 60 psi at low idle. Well, it should be 40 psi low idle, 60 psi high idle cold. And those are rough numbers. So we knew we had an issue. It wasn't relieving pressure. So dropped the oil pan, pulled down the oil pump, was inspecting the relief valve, and it would not come out. The relief valve would not come out. It took 2 guys to get it apart. So started pulling the rest of the pump apart, looked at everything, and it's not good. All right, so this here is your oil pressure relief valve. What it does, it slides into this pump. See your oil pump. It's normally got gears and everything on it, but I got it tore apart right now. This will slide in with the spring. It'll slide inside there, and as your oil pressure generates oil pressure, it'll regulate it. Well, this one took 2 people to get apart. This thing should slide in there very easily, and right there it is stuck. You look at it, you can see where it's all scored up. So something has gone through this oil pump. Finished taking the pump apart. Gear looks pretty good. No issues there. Issue is right here. Should look pretty smooth or machine surface like this right here. But you can see that something has gone through it and eaten up. Same thing on the other side. Go to the bottom of the pan, find all this metal stuff. So come to find out, the owner of the truck had replaced the high pressure fuel pump. Right there's your high pressure fuel pump. They didn't get a top end or anything. It was complete bottom end and everything. The pump had catastrophically failed on the internals of it. So when you have a pump failure of that sort on these engines, you're supposed to drop the oil pan, check for metal debris in the bottom, pull some rods and mains, make sure that you don't have any damage to them. Well, whoever had put this pump on did not do that follow-up procedure, and that's where the metal on the table you saw came from. So incidentally, it went through the pump. Some of it made through the filter on the bypass valve, and then this is where the metal went, through the bearings. Now luckily Cummins has a fairly soft bearing, so checked the bearings, found that very cringeworthy. Started inspecting the crankshaft and found actually no damage. Had some very minor scratches in the crank, nothing that we can't get polished out and save the customer some money, but it's definitely going to need some bearings rolled in. Like I said, it's definitely going to need to get some bearings rolled in. We're then also going to pull the oil cooler, replace it, replace the oil filter, go through the top end of the engine, make sure that everything looks good up top, and hopefully we'll be able to just get this man out and save him some money versus having to put an engine in it. We'll give him both options and see what he wants to do. Next time, if you ever have this engine issue and they say they replaced the pump and everything's good, make sure that they drop the oil pan and check for bearing metal in the bottom of the oil pan from that pump. Save you a lot of headache and heartache.